Not financial advice, but we are going to be talking about money. We are going to be talking about your money. We are going to be talking about who you should listen to, who you should not listen to, how to come to your own decisions and conclusions about where to invest your money, what moves to make. And this is for you. If you clicked on this, this is for you because you want to get ahead. You don't want to fall behind, especially with inflation at historic records. You can't just save dollars. You can't just earn dollars and be okay. You have to be an investor. So this applies to everyone right now. I wish it didn't. I wish it was easier. I wish life was simpler, but it's not. You have to invest, or you're going to be on this treadmill of life for as long as it is. So in this video, we're going to talk about financial advice and not financial advice, and why you need to learn how to make your own decisions with your own money. Sound good? Welcome in, fam. Much love, Trav here. So we recently talked about two books: How I Made $2 Million Investing in the Stock Market and Reminiscences of a Stock Market Operator. Books, really good books written by people who made millions of dollars in the stock market in the early 1900s, when that was a lot of money. It's still a lot of money, but when that was a lot of money. And something that was interesting is in both of these books, both of these stories, these guys talk about also periods where they lost a lot of money. And both times that they lost a lot of money, it was from listening to tips from other people, getting advice. Hey, you should invest in cotton, it's going to go up. And then it went down, and one of the guys lost all of his money and had to restart from scratch. Another guy, he made his first $500,000. He came back, he started talking to a lot of people on stocks, following tips, listening to advice. He had lost $100,000 in 2 weeks. And both of these guys ultimately isolated themselves from other people's opinions, set up their own private study, sleep during the day when everybody else is working, limited no calls. I'm not available for any calls. I make my own decisions. I'm not going to listen to tips. I'm not going to give tips. And this is how they're able to really skyrocket off and make a huge amount of money. Isn't that interesting? So I'm going to tell you why taking tips is bad, but I'm going to give you a lot of reasons why listening to tips is bad. I'm going to give you some more examples why, and then I'm going to give you what you should do instead. So one other example, when I was getting into crypto about 1.5 years ago, because of all the money printing, I became concerned about inflation. People said, hey, inflation, it's not going to really happen like that. And I'm like, let me start reading, let me start researching. Okay, I'm becoming interested in cryptocurrency. I had a friend who says, hey, you need anything? I know a lot I can share with you. Says, hey, these two projects are hot, you should consider investing in them. So I put in a little bit of money. Fortunately, I got out quickly because I came to my own decision that these probably weren't the best investments. But this guy told me who he was listening to. He said, hey, I'm getting my tips from this guy on Twitter. And I followed that guy on Twitter. Interestingly, I found out the guy who's giving me tips, he had quit his job. He had to go back to his job. He had a mental health breakdown. He lost his money, it seems like. The guy that he was getting his tips from on Twitter, it turned out he has over 100,000 followers. He said he comes out later and says, I lost 95% of my money since 2017 trading. So it's like, why am I listening to tips from these people? Why don't they tell me, right? There's another guy I follow on Twitter who's a lot of people follow for trading moves. He lost 60 to $80 million in 3 days earlier this year, and the market crashed. The point is, I'm telling you, you have to be very careful who you listen to your tips from, and even taking tips at all. And this includes me. Me telling you I like Bitcoin is not an advice, go buy Bitcoin. I'm telling you to go do research, start to read. Maybe you come to the same conclusion, maybe you don't, but guess what? You're going to do well if you invest in stocks, you're going to do well if you invest in real estate, you're going to do well if you invest in business, so long as you put in the time and put in the work. You're going to do poorly in all of these things if you just listen to tips and advice and you don't put in the work to read and understand and figure out your own strategy. Reasons to not listen to tips is because just because someone else likes it, there's a lot of context. You got to know when to enter, when to exit, what your plan is, what news would cause you to exit, what price action would cause you to exit, why to even hold it in the first place. So even if you're in the right asset, you'll do it in the wrong time. You won't sell at the right time, you'll sell at the wrong time, and so on. Other reasons why are most of the time, especially right now, a lot of the tips that you're receiving are people getting paid to give tips. So an example is in cryptocurrency, there's lots of small coin projects. They go to influencers. They say, I'm going to give you a bag, $20,000 to go make a YouTube video promoting this investment. They don't tell you when they make those videos, but that's constant. Another thing that I learned from these books, so you need to be very careful if people are profiting off of the tips they give you. Also very interesting, there's a book, in those same two books, they talk about how market manipulators work. When someone, for instance, has a huge amount of stock that they want to unload, I'm not saying Elon Musk does this, but for example, say Elon Musk, he wants to dump a bunch of his Tesla stock for dollars so that he can buy something else. But he knows if he sells a bunch of stock, it's going to cause the price to go way down, and he's not going to be able to get as good a price for his stock. What these people do, they go to market manipulators to help them, who will, first they'll start causing a lot of news, putting out a lot of bullish news items saying, hey, Tesla stock's going up. They go on talk shows and they say, you should buy this, this is a good investment. They call family offices and say, push Tesla stock to your family offices, that is a good investment that you should get in. So they start this huge marketing campaign. They also start to buy and sell the stock a lot, or buy more, which starts to push the price up a little bit and also causes a lot of volume in the stock. Seeing the volume and a little bit of increase in price causes the traders to come in. Traders push the price up even more. Seeing the price going up, retail comes in and they start buying. And this is when Elon Musk or whoever it is starts to distribute. They start to sell the stock into the buying pressure that they created so that they could unload their stock at a good price. And then once the market's bought everything, there's no buying pressure anymore, they sold, the price tanks, and they were able to dump what they had. So there's another example why you should not listen to tips or advice from the news, because most of it's from people who are trying to dump on you. So here's what you should do instead. These two guys became very technical. They isolated themselves. They just followed the objective data more than anything, insulated themselves from hearing a lot of advice. I'm not telling you to buy Bitcoin, but what led me to buying Bitcoin was a huge amount of books, a huge amount of books. And so here's a principle that you can do instead. And by the way, during the whole time I'm getting advice, do this, do this, do this, do that. I had to tune it all out. And again, I'm not telling you to do what I'm doing. I'm telling you to have a rule before any investment. Make sure that you give it at least 2 weeks to 4 weeks. If it's good investment, it's not that urgent. If it's a good investment and not a short-term trade, a FOMO, because this is going to protect you from FOMO, this is going to protect you from losing your money, this is going to protect you from buying something that you shouldn't. Spend 2 to 4 weeks thinking about it before putting your money in there. You're going to spend 2 to 4 weeks thinking before you quit your job. You're going to spend 2 to 4 weeks thinking before you start a new job, before you move. Any sort of major life decision deserves 2 to 4 weeks. And making an investment with your money is a major life decision. It deserves not just 2 to 4 weeks, but at least 40 hours of study. If you don't know everything about the thing that you're investing in, it's not a good investment for you, because now you don't know why to hold it. So you don't have conviction. You don't know what news would change your thesis and cause you to sell, which could cause you to hold too long. You need to study at least 40 hours. So spend an hour a day for a month, hour to 2 hours a day before a month. And you might find in that time it's not a good investment and you move on to the next thing. That's another important thing. Figuring out what's not a good investment is as important as figuring out what's a good investment. Once these guys in the books figured this out, there's times where they have no holdings, they're all in cash, they have no investments, they're waiting for the right opportunity to show up. And sometimes no good opportunity shows up, so you don't do it. So here's what I want you to do, is I want you to start to read, become a student, stop taking tips, start to decide for yourself, start to look into things deeply, start to read, start to research, start to look at price history, start to look at price action, read up on fundamentals, read about companies, read the white papers, go to the investor reports, go to the earnings calls, start doing some actual research, because, sorry, but having one job is not enough to get you financial freedom. You have to have a job, your money has to have a job, and your money is going to work really well for you. You don't need to spend as much time in your money's job, but you need to spend a lot of time to make sure it's doing the right job for you. Once you have that done, you don't necessarily need to spend as much time to keep up with it, but it's worth considering that, especially as your investments create more and more income, it's worth spending more and more time on your investments. But it's worth spending a commensurate amount of time to how much it's getting from you. But here, just isolate yourselves from tips. Understand that most tips are coming from people trying to dump their bags on you, whether that's the news, family office, stockbrokers, mutual fund guys, YouTube, crypto YouTubers, Twitter. They're all trying to dump their bags on you. And it helps if you can identify who isn't trying to do that and what their motive and their agenda is. Most people are trying to pump their own bags up. It's really important. It's really distracting in this swirl of everybody telling you what to do. You got to find your own way to do that through doing really deep research, journaling, figuring out for yourself. Sound good? Appreciate you. Much love. Talk to you soon. You are amazing. And if you need help, as always, there's a link down below. You can get on the phone with me. I can help you out with your situation. Sound good? Much love and peace. And comment down below, what's your favorite piece of advice from this? What's one investment that you're looking at as well? Are you looking at a stock, a crypto, a real estate, a bond, a foreign exchange? Are you looking at a business, buying a laundromat, getting into vending machines, starting an e-commerce store? What is it? What's your selling a course, getting into YouTube? What is it? Comment down below. What's an investment that you're looking at? And what's your favorite piece of advice from this video? Sound good? Much love. Talk to you soon. Peace.